I think I was about 4 years old when my sister, only 16 months my senior, and I went out to look for mushrooms. The problem was not that we had limited knowledge of mushrooms. The problem was that it was the crack of dawn. We were wearing our nightgowns and rain boots, and no one knew where that we had taken off. And then, of course, we had gotten lost without knowing that we had gotten lost. I don't remember much. I remember 2 places we saw in the village. We were looking for mushrooms, unsuccessfully. And I remember being found. And I can tell you, there was no promise of a party when my mom told us to get in the car. The gospel text for today includes 2 of the 3 lost and found parables in Luke. The lost sheep and the lost coin. And then the other one we read a couple of months ago, the prodigal son, is another of these 3 lost and found parables. Jesus first tells these parables of lost valuable property. One of 100 sheep has wandered off, and the shepherd goes to search for it. And the shepherd's action appears to be common sense, because Jesus is asking, which of you would not do that? And which of you would not look for money when it fell to the floor and search until you find it? Who of you would just give up 1/10 of their money? And you know, it must be somewhere, because it just has been here. You just saw the sheep and you just had held the coin, but now it's gone. So you search. Common sense. However, as these parables are only about valuable property, they often fail to engage our emotions. Now the sheep has run off. That might elicit a little higher heartbeat, but more frustration than fear. And developing any emotions about a lost coin today for us here in Palo Alto in 2025 is even harder. But the parable about the prodigal son, the younger of 2 sons who asks for a share of inheritance, who goes out into the world, breaks off the contact, loses his money, and then, ruined, makes his way back to his father, still hits home immediately. All these parables have often been misinterpreted, which help to create an inside and an outside. The sinners and the lost people that these parables speak about are on the outside, of course. They don't sit in a church. They need to be found, converted, healed. But if we take a close look, that's not what Jesus says. The shepherd had all his 100 sheep until one wandered off. The woman had all 10 coins until one fell to the floor and she had to search for it. We like the image of ourselves on the inside. I go to church. I'm righteous, blameless. The problem is outside of these walls. We like to appear without bruises and blemishes, but the truth is, we're not. Each of us has something that wears on us in one way or another. We go to church because we know we are not righteous. We go to church because we are broken, saints and sinners at the same time. And sometimes this brokenness can make us feel lost. We feel like we don't belong. We stop trusting. We can't feel God anymore. Be it through an illness, death of a loved one, difficult, toxic, or breaking relationships, stress and trauma. Suddenly, God doesn't seem good or feels hollow. Prayer feels false. Sunday feels hard. And bread and wine feel more like an accusation than forgiveness. Now let's shift perspectives. Do you still remember the story of my unsuccessful mushroom search at the beginning of the sermon? Being a mother myself now, I can imagine the fearful thoughts my mom must have had when she found our beds empty and when she couldn't find us anywhere near the house, when we wouldn't respond to her calling. Did they decide to go swimming in the village pond? Did they get into someone's car? the rising panic when she was driving through the streets of our village only to find us at the very far end of it. Can you imagine that fear in mind and body? Then I want you to apply them to the shepherd and the woman. It seems exaggerated, as the parable talks about sheep and coin, but it is an existential search. This is God looking for us when we are lost. God is looking on the outside. God is where God is needed, in the war and hunger zones of our planet, with the one who is desperate, lonely, hungry, sick, beaten, without a home, without a country. God is where all seems lost. Reading the parables this way also means that we must let go of our picture-perfect images of ourselves and others, allowing ourselves to get lost, trusting that God is looking for us, believing that we are worth looking for, allowing ourselves to be found. Being lost and being found are not permanent states in our faith life. We get lost. God continues to look for us, and we can be found again. The experience will teach us about vulnerability, humility, and patience. And when we are found, when we're coming home, bruised and tired, but home, then the community is invited to celebrate. Not because we fixed ourselves, rather because we've shown up, unmasked and vulnerable, and because God never stopped searching. Our community here is not a gathering of the already perfect. They don't exist. But it's a table where the lost and found sit side by side, held together by God's grace. Welcome home.